Why do you think it's so hard for people, especially women, to ask for help? And I'm going to start with Helly.
Because we want to be strong. I think we want to show that we know everything and we can do everything. I think it's somehow, because I think we have this imposter syndrome somewhere deep inside. So we all the time think that we are imposters here, because people keep saying women are not technical and all this kind of stuff. So you have to prove all the time that you are and you can and whatever. So you don't easily go and ask for help. And I actually learned that this shows because one of my boys told me that, Mommy, it's so easy for you because you never make mistakes. And I was like, are you kidding? I don't know. I do mistakes all the time. So the thing I do is making mistakes, because with mistakes you learn. The only thing is that if you don't learn from mistakes, it's a bad thing. So every time you make a mistake, you have to learn. But being honest, we should ask help more, because it makes no sense to try to figure out everything yourself. So one of the things that I have been trying to teach myself is ask for help. And I have been doing it quite a lot recently, because I have realized that I don't have the time to do everything that I would love to do. So one of the reasons I don't want to ask help is because I want to do everything myself, because I really love this work. And there's so many exciting things I would like to do. But I have realized that's not fair for me or for anybody else. So I have learned to ask for help. But the reason is that we want to show strong, I think. At least for me, that's the case.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Curious to hear what a few of the others have to say. Karen, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely what Helly said about strength, though I think about it a little different way. I don't want anyone to know I don't know. I'm supposed to know these things. I'm supposed to be good at these things, especially as a consultant. I definitely don't want to be the dumb blonde in the room. Though there are times that I'll say, "Hey, I'm blonde," whatever you want to make that mean. So being able to laugh at myself there, and huge imposter syndrome. I mean, I think that's genetic in me, and I didn't even know it was a thing until I got to user groups, and I think it was Opal Alapat said, "Oh yeah, imposter syndrome. We all have it." I was like, oh, "Really?" I thought it was just it. And I've the hard way I've learned I have to ask for help, and not only that, I I believe through all the user group help and certainly being in the ACE program, we meet a lot of people. I know who to go to now for help. And I know people will come to me for help on certain things. And that give and take, I never knew growing up as a little girl that it was okay to do that. My mom raised us to be strong. Don't let them know. Never ask for help. You go figure it out behind the scenes and shine. And it's much easier to shine when I have a whole group behind me, helping me, supporting me, holding me up. And
So, I mean, I hate to say imposter syndrome again. We've all said it, but it's definitely a thing. And so I think we tend to be afraid to ask for help because we think that just makes us look like we don't know everything and we're supposed to know everything. But I think one thing that's turned that around for me recently, and actually, if you listen to what we've all been saying on this call, how grateful we are and how good it makes us feel when we're able to help others. I love it when people come to me for help because it makes me feel useful. It makes me feel like I'm contributing something. And so switching that in my mind to actually asking for help is giving too, because I'm letting the other person. Do you know what I mean? It's just
yeah,
it links us back to our humanity. We all want to feel helpful, useful. I think about my mom. Her best days are when she feels she's helping me somehow, and I'm gonna cry. But that's uh we and just back to, we're saying nobody has all the answers. And I think it's actually comforting to the people around us, even to our clients, if we're willing to admit that, hey, I don't have all the answers, but I can go get them for you. Then they know if I'm telling you something, it's because I know it to be true. And I'm not just trying to cover up for some imposter syndrome or, trying to convince you that I'm right and I know all the answers. So anyway, that sort of mental flip of actually asking people for help helps them or gives something to them too, I think is a nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, I love that.
One of the things we do to foster people to ask questions, like anytime I give very challenging tasks a lot of times to my team where they're looking at me like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, right? Imposter syndrome. And I'm like, perfect. You go try it for an hour. If you see after an hour, you're not getting anywhere, I want you to come ask for help. Right. And it opens this door where I said, I'll never be upset if you can't finish something. I'll be upset if you didn't ask for help. I'll be upset if you sat 8 hours on something, made yourself a complete stress ball, right? Which has happened. It took Sonia a little while to learn that, because every time I'd give her something, she'd be like, oh no, I have to learn all of Oracle and all the terms and all the everything.
I had a Jen moment where it was like, okay, I just needed to know everything,
And they're smart enough to, that's the problem, right? Because they're smart enough and there's ChatGPT, they go down these rabbit holes. So I'm like, if you're down a rabbit hole more than 2 hours, you come to me. But you have to develop not only is it hard to ask for help, like as managers and leaders or whatever else, we have to like leave this door open where like asking for help is part of the task. Like, because otherwise you'll end up in situations where the work product, or it fosters even more imposter syndrome, where people are kind of stewing in themselves, where they feel they can't ask for help and they have to figure it out themselves, and it gets worse and worse. So, besides just like the not asking for help, like we have to let the corporate culture, whatever it is, open the doors. That help is part of the task. Like
you have to give permission to ask for help, right? That's kind of a
or
value.
a requirement, right?
But I like that because it shows that it really goes both ways. We need to work on ourselves in asking, but the other side, whoever that is, it could be female management, it could be part of the male management, it has to be free of judgment, that there's permission and a door open to ask, and create opportunity for that. And the last question in this round is, as an Oracle ACE, how do you decide where to spend your time and your influence? Heli, is she still on? Yeah, Heli, if you could share.
That is a tough one. So it's always like balancing.
Heli's everywhere.
Yes.
How do you decide what not to contribute to?
Heli has a trick.
Oh, what's the trick?
You'll see. You'll probably say it, Heli. You'll probably say it.
No, you can tell it.
Oh no, because Heli brings her family.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you balance all this extra stuff and your family and like, oh my gosh. You guys will never see my husband at a conference unless it'd have to be in
my husband won't go with me anymore. He says I ignore him because I'm too busy.
Where I go is, first of all, I want it to be an easy trip. So if I have to change 100 times planes, I reconsider. So I kind of I used to travel anywhere, but now I'm old, so I only travel if it's easy. So 2 jumps is maximum, hopefully only 1. And then I want the event to be something, because I think the best I can do to the community is to show that women can do this. So I don't want to talk women talks. I rather just go present and show I can do this. So if I can be sure that I will have audience that needs this, then I prefer going. So I feel my impact is larger if the audience is something that needs to see me on the stage, so that they can see that women really can do it. So I'm a CEO for the company, which is already strange. And then I'm a technical expert, which is also strange. I'm the only ACE director in Finland and in Singapore, which is also strange. So I'm kind of a strange character. But being such a person, having this kind of family who joins with me. So I usually have one of my boys with me or my husband or somebody, as Karen said.
I can show that you can do this even you have a family. So it doesn't mean that you need to leave your family and build career. You can build your career with your family. So if that message is something that I feel is worth bringing to that community, like for example, OD Talk is one of these kind of communities, I really love to go. And the next generation is my favorite because I have my 2 boys, of course, but we've been hiring a lot of younger people lately, starting last summer. And I kind of feel it's very important for me to mentor the next generation to be Oracle professionals and to find themselves. So I don't want them to be like me. I want them to be like themselves, but more confident and finding their place in life. And I find that something that I can do if I meet those people. And that's why I like to go to events. So I meet people face to face and I can talk with them. So that's kind of the criteria. It's not easy to decide where to go and where not to go.
I mean, they started off by saying how you're everywhere, and now it's amazing to hear how much thought actually and intention goes actually into the process for you to determine where you put yourself. So that's incredible. Karen, do you want to share your answer?
Sure. I don't know if it's all balance. First of all, I know my brain is busy, and I know I do better if I'm learning somewhere. And of course, the ACE program, I kind of always have to be learning to get a presentation accepted somewhere. You got to be current. So, and I'm fortunate that my clients are on the latest versions of things and let me do things on the bleeding edge. And for example, I was never going to do, I can retire. I'm not going to do this AI stuff. That's going to be way too much work. And then I had a client say, I just want to talk to my database. You should be able to do that. And I'm like, let me check that out. And it's not, for that database, it's not as easy as you think. And that set me on a path of not only AI within Apex, but AI within the database. And I haven't, I'm no John Dixon with MCP yet. But again, I can pass on these, what I've learned, and hopefully save someone else that learning curve. So that now that I have a viable presentation, where to submit it, and it's like, well, you got to go to Casescope because that's where you learn everything, and you got to go here. You got it. So anyhow, when I was KEO of Casescope, or conference chair of Casescope, I said, if I want people to come to my conference, I better go to theirs. And I applied to a lot of conferences as an Oracle ACE. I got accepted. And I realized that was too much. That, wait a minute, I like to ski in March. And all the Apex conferences in Europe are in March. So, but you can't ski there. So I'm like, wait a minute. And
go to Utah. They have a ski day in their conference.
I am going to Utah. I will be in Utah. ARMA going virtual just messed up February, believe me. And so we put together a bunch of us that go to ARMA put together a ski trip anyways that I just got back from.
So cute.
I realized I had to pull back and make sure I did the things for me. Summer is our time. I did a South America tour, had a blast, but realized I missed a month of family time, of home time, so I have to balance those with my brain's need to be busy. And, I need it all. I just have that kind of brain. Oh, yes.
Deborah Lilly has joined. Yeah. Hi, Deborah.
Yes.
Hi. So my name's Deborah Lilly, and I'm an ACE director. And I've been an ACE director since 2008, I think. I'm on the app side of the house. What I do is I translate between the business and technology, both internally in my organization for our customers, for my colleagues, but that tends to be what my presentations are as well, translating really clever technical people into business and then letting business understand what the technology can do for them.
Deborah, can you share a moment when someone gave you advice, opportunity, visibility, or confidence that changed your path or was a turning point for you?
I can. So one of the mentors that I've had in my time is Meg Bear. Now, she came from PeopleSoft, the acquisition from PeopleSoft, and she was very much involved in user experience. And we just clicked. It was just obvious that we got on, and just naturally I went to her for advice on many occasions. And one day, many years later, she was looking for people to help her with a Women in Technology presentation. And I said that I'd love to help. And she said, I'd love to have you, but if you say you're not technical, I'll march you off the premises. Right? And so we had a long conversation about it. And she said, what are you doing? What is it that you're doing? And I said, you know, I'm interpreting. And she said, that's what you are. You're an interpreter. It's not that you're not technical. It's that you can do both. Right? And I always say that I need to know more than what the technology does. I need to know how it works. And Mia, you know, you can laugh about how I've understood your product and whatever. I probably am never going to do it, but I need to know how it works, do the proof of concepts, and then be able to have those conversations. So to talk about those translation bits. And that's really been a turning point because it makes conversations positive and not negative.
Cool. Exactly. I love that. It's not what you can't do. It's the value that you do bring to the conversation.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's fantastic. Final question, which is as an Oracle ACE, how do you decide where to spend your time and influence? So I'll have Mia share.
So for me, I try to do like everything in my life. I know it sounds really funny. I do like ROI balance, and I'm like, how much effort am I going to have to put in versus the ripple effect, right? So when I do things like go to conferences, meet people, meet other women, encourage people to do presentations, it has way more impact, right? Like when somebody comes up to me and says, oh, you presented, and, you know, I would be too scared and whatever. And I, you know, encourage them, and I see 2 years later that they're presenting, right? Those are really incredible results that I've seen. So the same thing with the take twos, right? Where I feel like having these conversations, having people see them, share them. We've had incredible feedback on the take two, both from like a technical perspective, but also from just a social perspective, getting to know the different Oracle ACEs, Oracle product managers, etc. But my main core value that I try very hard to do is to be an ACE for creating content that people don't talk about, products that people don't talk about anymore, right? And a big part of what I try to contribute to the community is putting a voice or, you know, technologies, ideas, strategies to try to take those more legacy tool communities and bring them and try to bridge the gap between Oracle's newest, whether it's, you know, running forms on the cloud, whether it's connecting eBusiness Suite to what AI options do people have with on-premise eBusiness Suite, right? Bridging those gaps to be able to say, okay, you know, you might not be on the, you know, highest tech stack, the most digital footprint on the planet, but even with what you have, you could start slowly, you know, embracing technological change, embracing features, functions. But I think that it's a very important value for me to, you know, continue to lead the community that I was accepted to the ACE program for and have been working with for, you know, what, 15 or whatever years I've been. So that's where I choose to spend my influence and my time.
Oh, that's great. And you've stayed loyal to that, which is
Exactly.
Really good.
You'll be the last one standing, right?
I'm already. There's 3 of us.
Nearly, yeah. Yeah.